Okay. Like we talked about yesterday, disappointed. Games get away from you in the NFL when you don't perform at your best, especially on the road, especially versus a good football team. And, the game got away towards the end of that first half. They were able to double dip. And then, we just didn't do enough things offensively, defensively, special teams to stay in that game. So ultimately extremely disappointing. We have to play better. We have to coach better. We got to own that one together. But with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Coach. The first one will be from Scott Patrick.
So, Kevin, how surprised were you by that performance, given the fact that you're coming off the big win against the Bengals and the bye week?
Yeah, I think you go into every game, Scott, confident, and you watch your team practice, and of course I expected us to play better. We didn't. I give them credit. They played better than us for sure. They coached better than us for sure. But whether we're coming off a week's rest, 2 weeks rest, no week's rest doesn't really matter.
And looking back at that week of preparation, now, was there anything missing, anything that stood out that said, hey, this might be coming?
No.
Thank you, Scott. Next is Tom Withers.
Thanks, Rob. Hey, thanks, Kevin. I know that was unacceptable to you guys on so many levels, as hard as you work over there. In terms of the defense and the scheme, and I know you're down your top three linebackers, does this cause because they were able to run the ball so successfully again yesterday, Kevin, does this make you reevaluate scheme?
I think you reevaluate everything week to week, Tom, and especially like you mentioned, we didn't play well enough against the run game. So you have to look at everything. You have to look at, schematically, what are we doing, personnel wise. And you do that every week. So we got to get it fixed. And I know there's been at different times this year, has been different things, but that's the consistency that we're searching for, that we have to find in order to play good defense, in order to play a good team game. You got to play consistently on all three sides of the ball. So it's always going to be something that we're looking to address.
And in terms of injuries, can you give us any update on Wyatt, Jack, Jedrick, anybody up front there that was dealing with stuff yesterday?
Yeah, nothing, no major updates on all those guys. I think everybody's kind of day to day, and I expect them to get better throughout this week.
Thank you, Tom. Let's go to Cam Justice.
Kevin, back to the defense, you talked about the consistency, and it has seemed like there have been times where some of the issues are different, but also some of those reoccurring tackling, gap integrity, things like that. Have you been able to pinpoint those things when you go back and watch the tape, and why do you think it's been so difficult to iron out?
Yeah, Cam, I think you're exactly right. Tackling, we always have to be better. It's tackling sometimes is technique, sometimes is getting 11 people around the ball. And then gap integrity. Every defense that is played, don't care man, zone, 3 deep, 2 deep, you have gap integrity, and you got to stay true to that. So we got to work hard to make sure that we're where we need to be, and then we got to make sure we're giving our guys a plan that they can go out and execute and play fast. We've done it at times. So much of run defense is when you're playing fast and you're playing physical. Certainly I've seen that at times, but we just did not do that yesterday, and got to do it more consistently.
And I know you said you don't really look too much into the energy of, the guys in the locker room, things like that, as a factor of how you guys played a game. But is there still a concerted effort to try to create like a culture that doesn't allow frustrations to start to boil over when seasons start like this and maybe don't go your way?
Yeah, I think that's, I think every team, Cam, every locker room, as after a win, there's a lot of joy and guys are excited, those type of things. After a loss, it's ultimately just about disappointment. So I kind of know that locker room. I know the leadership that we have on this team. I know they're disappointed, but we got to control what we can control right now, which is own this one, learn from it, move on, and then find a way next week.
Thank you, Cam. We'll go to Daryl Ryder.
Yeah, Coach, question about the offensive line. Obviously a tough day for them in the trenches. Is the impact of the loss of Wyatt Teller, and then also did Jed Wills get banged up, or did you just decide to kind of give him a break with the game out of hand?
Yeah, he I think just rolled his ankle. But yeah, listen, again, I'll give credit to Miami. They rushed well. They rushed the passer well. They were stout against the run. We didn't play as well as we have. I mean, that's the truth. Our guys have performed at a high level all year, and we did not yesterday. Again, I look inward and wonder what I can do better for those guys, what we can do better to give them a plan and the run in the pass game that they can play better. That's really what I'm looking for.
And you guys had another strong start offensively with the script that you put together. That's been pretty successful for you this season with, starting fast with nice long drives and getting points on the board early. My question is, have you been able to kind of figure out maybe what's happening later in games, why that success, I know there's ebbs and flows with things, but you're not as successful maybe later in games than when you're on script, so to speak?
Yeah, I think that game in particular was a little different in that it got to 3 scores there soon into that second half. We do script into the second half as well. So that's something that we do. First 15, I think you see around the league, you go over it at night, you walk through it. So it's typically guys have a very good understanding of early plays. And then really the work you put in throughout the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, should be enough to execute throughout the game. So I try not to think of it as really once we get off that script, we really need to still perform at a high level, both offense and defense.
Thank you, Daryl. Mary Kay Cabot has our next question.
Yeah, Kevin, just wondering, it looked like Miles and Jadeveon both, they were feeling healthier heading into this game, but they both played about maybe 60% of the snaps, I think about 44 snaps each. So first of all, just wondering, kind of what that was all about. And then when you talked yesterday about, it's up to us, or maybe we didn't give them the right plans, or maybe we need to give them better plans. I was just wondering if you could elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah. So we wanted to, in that heat, Mary Kay, just wanted to make sure we were rolling and rotating on the defensive line as much as you could with that heat. So that was really the plan. When I'm talking about the plan, game plan, and anytime you go down and you get the result that you got and you fall short in any way, you always try to be introspective and sit down and look and say, what could we have done differently? I think that's so important. So that's what today is about, conversations with all of our coaches. All right, you do it over again. What plays wouldn't you run? What would you get to? What personnel groupings might you get to? And that's where I think you have to give credit to the other team. They have a game plan as well. They did a nice job. We had a couple things that we tried, didn't work. And then you pivot to the next thing, and then you just got to find some answers.
And Mary Kay wanted to check in to see if you had a follow-up with the background noise. Appreciate you muting there.
No, I mean, I guess I was just wondering, it seems like Joe Woods is taking so much heat out in the, on social media and everything. And you didn't specifically, I just want to clarify, you didn't specifically mean that he needed to come up with a better defensive game plan, right? Or
I would tell you, every coach, myself, we all need to come up with a better plan when you get beat like we got beat. I don't think any of us coached well enough. I don't think any of us played well enough when you get that result. That's the truth. So all of us need to be better.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Next up, Matt Fontana.
Yeah, Kevin, I know you were asked about this yesterday after the game, but after the rewatch, are you at all concerned with the effort on some plays? There are some specific ones where guys just seem to give up on a play. Are you at all concerned with the effort from your team?
No, I think the guys are playing hard. I think there's definitely going to be moments in games and warm games where guys' tanks are running low. That's why we tried to rotate guys as much as we did. We got to clean up a lot of things in order to play good football on the road. That's just the truth.
And then a lot, kind of to Mary Kay's question, there's been a lot on Joe Woods. There's a lot, the players, like how hard is that when you are fighting consistency issues, when it's not just one singular problem, specifically on the defense that seems to arise?
Yeah, I think it's, we have to play better. We got to play better offense, defense, special teams. Again, when you go down, you get the result that you got, nothing's good enough. It's just the truth. So Are people going to be critical of that? Yeah, they should be. That's what being a fan is. That's what we're trying to be, self-critical, because we have to play better. We have to coach better. We understand that.
Thank you, Matt. Nate Ulrich, go ahead.
Hey, Kevin. So with Wyatt Teller, would you put him in that day-to-day category? And, is he kind of suffer a new injury, or is just aggravating the old one?
Yeah, I'd hesitate. He just wasn't feeling like he was, at a percentage where he could help us. He was battling. He could have gone back in there, but I just didn't feel like where he was with that injury. So it wasn't like he re-aggravated. It's not a new injury. Just going to continue to work through it.
Thanks, Nate. Let's go to Scott Petrick.
Hey, Kevin, when you talk about searching for consistency, I would think that would be evident in the fact that you haven't won 2 in a row this season as well. Do you see any intangible reasons for that, whether it's guys get complacent after a win or the preparation level drops, something you can point your finger at?
I really don't, Scott. Again, sometimes it's real simple. We have to play better. We got to coach better. We've done it at times. That is the frustrating part, as you can imagine. And you got to do it consistently in game. You got to play solid football for 60 minutes. And then you got to build on that. When you do it, you got to do it for, games in a row, to your point. But there's not one obvious answer. I just think we got to all do our job a little bit better.
And then I know you've been talking about the run defense, but how much of a factor was the inability to get off blocks at the line of scrimmage that led to some of the big holes that they had?
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing good, sound run defense like we have, you're penetrating, you're getting off blocks, you're tackling as a team. You're playing good gap control. I mean, and then when the other team is doing a nice job in their schemes, and they're going to have a few, we just it was a few things. It was a couple things on a couple plays. So sometimes it was tackling, sometimes it was gap integrity, sometimes it was getting off blocks. But again, when you're going to play good run defense, you got to do those things all the time.
Thank you, Scott. Next up, Tony Grossi.
Kevin, could you clarify Delpit not starting, and if it was discipline, what could possibly merit one play off the field?
Yeah, I'll just say that was a team issue.
Was it an equipment issue? Was he not ready to go out there, or what?
No, just a team issue, Tony.
Are you disappointed that you would have to do that with him?
Yeah, as you can imagine, I keep all those type of things within the team.
Thanks, Tony. Let's go to Mark Schwab.
Hey, Kevin, with Deshaun eligible to come back to practice this week, what will that look like for you guys? Obviously, you're going to ramp him up, but also Jacoby needs his.
Yeah, that's the next step for Deshaun, is getting out there and being able to practice. We as coaches can be out there with him now and work with him, which we haven't been able to do. So we'll have a plan for him to start getting ready. But to your point, Jacoby is the number one priority in getting him ready to play in this game. So whatever we do with Deshaun won't take away from Jacoby's preparation.
Can that be a morale boost for guys, or no, because they're pros and they always go about it the same way?
Yeah, I think everybody kind of understands the situation that we're in. The guys understand Deshaun and being a great teammate. He's going to get his work in. Jacoby's going to do the same. So I don't see it in that vein, but I just see it as the next step for Deshaun being able to practice.
All right, we'll take one more question. It'll be from Jeff Shadell.
Hey, Kevin, you always talk about in-game adjustments rather than just halftime adjustments. So what did you guys try to do when they were stopping the run so well? What did you try to do to counter what they were doing?
Yeah, a few different things. Jeff didn't do anything well enough, though, to play consistent football and score enough points. But you're always searching for a run type, a personnel that might give you an advantage in the run game, and it did not. To their credit, it did not happen yesterday. We didn't have the explosives that we're used to in that run game, and then consequently we were playing behind the sticks too often. But it's always when you're talking about, you got to score more points than we scored, and it's never one thing. It's a play here, it's a play here on third down that sometimes can get that going. We very uncharacteristic turn the ball over, on the 12th play of our second drive. That's where this game, you just don't know the plays that are going to ultimately turn it. But there were plenty of opportunities for us to play good football, and we just didn't do it enough yesterday.